Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Thompson versus Holland. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Yasmin Jauregui versus Estela Nunes. And how I see this one right here between these two women is I'm gonna go with Yasmin Jauregui to beat Estela Nunes. I feel like Estela Nunes has some good talent, but I question her grappling. Really not the deficiency of grappling, but as far as the practicality of her grappling, as far as she can be taken down, she can be held down for long periods of time. Like I said, she's not just a dead fish on her back. Well, basically, essentially, she is a dead fish because you're not really getting those submissions off your back. So you're not getting no submission backs, or you're not really doing no heavy ground and pound, or you're not really doing a whole lot of activity, or getting back to your feet, or getting submission. You might as well be a dead fish. You could be, maintaining your guard well and like being defensive enough not to get tapped out, and like so you're not just getting slid through like butter on the ground. But you spend time on the ground, you might as well just be the same thing because you're gonna lose a decision or give a lot of time to make fights closer than they should be, or like I said, lose or make them close. But outside of that as well, like she could look good for like a first round, but then it seemed like in that second round she fades heavily. Then in the third round she becomes like a punching bag. So questionable cardio, questionable ability to get back to her feet. Doesn't really do much off her back. So I feel like Yasmin Jauregui can exploit that. I feel Jauregui has underrated grappling that she doesn't really use as much, and she could use that as a path to victory if the fight is close. But also I feel like Yasmin Jauregui can match or surpass her in the striking department as well. And it definitely helps the fact that Estela Nunes does have this tendency to dip off already. So in a tight matchup at best, Yasmin Jauregui can always keep this fight close to the first, then second, third, just take over. But I feel like she's gonna be in control from the start to finish this fight. I feel like she's gonna mix up and just really put on a good performance against Estela Nunes. I don't think she puts her away, but I do think she beats her in a pretty clear decision that's probably gonna look dominant down that second and third part. And really, get us a bigger statement than her debut fight for Yasmin Jauregui. So in this one, I got Yasmin Jauregui via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Francis Marshall versus Marcelo Rojo, and how I see this one right here. So originally on my quick pick, I said decision, but really looking back at this fight, still the same fight. I'm still picking Francis Marshall, and I'm even more confident now. Like I said, I ain't gonna go back and take a video down, this do that. So like you're watching this video, same fighter, but my pick has changed as far as my method. I think Marshall gets him out of there in the distance. I think it's by submission. Marshall has a pretty solid wrestler, pretty decorated career in the wrestling department. It's like, world level or nothing like that. But still, what's going to look like against Rojo is going to look definitely like a world class level. Rojo is like a mediocre striker, overall mediocre fighter, decent pressure. That's about it. Grappling has always, has big, big holes, big flaws. It's a weakness, and we have seen people exploit that. And I feel like Marshall should be able to exploit that. I feel like he's going to be able to touch with some power on the feet, look to level change, drag him to the mat, use that wrestling background on him, use that grappling on Rojo, and exploit that area that's very, very weak in his game. And I think against grapplers, I think Rojo was probably like matter of fact, against actual reputable people, I think he's like 0-5 and got submitted against those people. So he does have a tendency to get submitted. And I feel like Marshall will submit him out. And Marshall, I think his favorite submission is the rear naked choke. And I think that is available. And I think that he'll be able to get it. I'm gonna say second round submission. Third is seeming very promising because Rojo has been getting stopped in third, and a lot of his recent fights, I think like his last 3 L's have been stoppages in the third round. But I'm gonna say second round for Marshall via rear naked choke. Submission, second round submission, Francis Marshall. Mix up on the feet. I don't even have too much issue with Rojo anywhere on this fight. And just show that Rojo ain't at this level and that Marshall is. And I think that's just gonna be the simple fact of the night. So I think Marshall touches with some power on the feet, put him on the back, dominate him in that department. It's like you don't belong here with me in this grappling, and it's gonna show. Like Rojo gonna, show all his heart he can show, but the talent ain't there, the skill ain't there. I think he taps him out second round. So in this one, I got Francis Marshall via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Nathan Levy versus Gennaro Valdez. And how I see this one right here is I'm going Nathan Levy to beat Gennaro Valdez. I think Valdez, we've seen a bit of his striking, not really the greatest striker, but it's definitely improved from, I guess, the regional scene. Grappling, he's more so of a grappler. But I feel like, all in all, I feel like Nathan Levy hasn't beat everywhere. I feel like Nathan Levy is the more cleaner striker, the more accomplished fighter, the cleaner grappler. I feel like in every area he hasn't beat. If Gennaro Valdez can make this a dog fight, maybe opens things up, maybe. But even in the last fight, I feel like his last opponent could make it a dog fight. And Nathan Levy was pretty okay with that. Like, he has shown in some of these fights that he's okay in those positions. Like, and I think a higher level fighter can maybe test that again. But as far as at this level, I feel like he has passed that test, and this just, even if it does come to that, I feel like this is a test he has already passed before at this level, and he should be able to pass it again with even higher colors, as I'm saying. So this ain't, I don't feel like there's nothing presenting new in this fight for him at this level. Like, I feel a higher level fighter can test that theory against him that I feel was still very weak as far as in the dog fight. His chin, I could feel, is questionable, but at this level, again, I feel he passed the test at this level, and I feel Genaro Valdez is going to, really test him in anywhere. He can give him a competitive fight, he make him have to work, but I feel like Nathan Levy has him covered in the striking, covered in the grappling. And as far as toughness, I feel like he can, like I said, already having the advantage every area, he's more than comfortable enough to address anything Valdez has to bring for him. But I see Nathan Levy beat him via decision. Mix him on the feet when Valdez starts to really get aggressive, level change, take him down, control him on the ground, and just like never really allow Valdez to get a groove going in this one. So in this one, I have Nathan Levy via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Darren Elkins versus Jonathan Pearce. And high one right here, I'm just gonna get to the point. I just feel like Darren Elkins is pushing 40, took a lot of damage in his career. He's going over the younger man, Jonathan Pearce, who can, match him in a lot of these areas. I feel obviously peak for peak, I feel like Darren Elkins is better. I feel like his pace is better. With no shutdown to his pace. I feel Pearce pace is nowhere near prime Elkins pace, and Elkins' experience could be this and that, even in this fight. But this all he's leaning. Darren Elkins hasn't really looked good in a long while. He's going with a younger fighter who's right in his prime and, getting better, looking better with each fight. And I feel like Jonathan Pearce, in reality, he probably going to put him away in reality. Like, you're going into a fight that's pushing 40, taking a lot of damage, and is getting stopped as of late. I feel like Pearce probably going to put him away, but I'm going to stick with my decision pick right here. I'm going to say Jonathan Pearce. This younger and can match him in every area and can push a pace and is in his prime versus a guy that's out of his prime. It's simple as that. Just the nature of the game. The old get eaten by the new, and that's just the game. So in this one, I got Jonathan Pearce via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Michael Johnson versus Mark Diakiese. How I see this one right here is I'm going Mark Diakiese. I feel like Michael Johnson could definitely catch him with some speed, some power. I definitely think he's the better striker. If this fight's on the feet too long or Diakiese gets a little bit lax out there, Johnson can for sure put him away or anyone away. But ultimately, I feel like when Diakiese has lost, he has lost to people that can, catch him and then also catch him in a submission. It hasn't been a case he got caught and then just knocked out, or caught and then lost the decision. We know he lost the Nasrat Haqparast fight. We know that fight. We got pretty much outstruck to a decision in that one. But outside that, it's like it hasn't been a case where he's been sparked. And also, we know on Johnson's side, he had lost like 20 fights. And a lot of them have been if not all of them have been due to the grappling. And that's what Diakiese has been doing as of late. And he did in his Cage Warriors, Cage Fury, wherever he was in. He wrestled more in there, and now he's getting back to that and is better at that. I feel now, like I say, he's getting back to it. He's improving, and he's showing the experience, and he's combining that all together. And I feel like Diakiese can definitely, like I said, hold his own with Johnson on the feet. Probably don't want to spend too much time with him doing that. But like I said, get his respect from Johnson on the feet. Probably blast his skinny legs with some leg kicks a little bit, use some lateral motion, and then get Johnson following. Then when Johnson starts to come in and commit, start to take him down, and just like dominate him on the ground. I feel like he dominates Johnson in the grappling department to a decision. So in this one, I got Mark Diakiese via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Clay Guida versus Scott Holtzman. How I see this one right here. So I'm going with Clay Guida here. Clay Guida has over 50 fights, and he has never lost to a guy like Scott Holtzman. I gotta like that. Scott Holtzman, people saying he's 10 pounds he's like 2 inches taller and whatnot, but I still don't see Scott Holtzman like truly this big physical specimen. I feel like Guida has fought bigger, longer, stronger guys. And Scott Holtzman's not like he just, oh my God, so great wrestling defense guy. Like, what great wrestler has he really stopped? Jim Miller is not even really a wrestler. Jim Miller's a BJJ guy. And I know that's probably a lot of people's reference, like, well, he beat Jim Miller, who beat Clay Guida, but it's not like Clay Guida got out-wrestled by Jim Miller. Clay Guida hurt Jim Miller, then went for a takedown, and then Jim Miller used BJJ on him to catch him in the guillotine. It wasn't the case, Jim Miller took down Clay Guida for 3 rounds and out-wrestled him. Clay Guida is without a doubt a better wrestler than Jim Miller. Is he a better BJJ guy? No. Is he probably a better fighter? Probably not. Or maybe styles make fights, but Scott Holtzman stylistically favors Clay Guida more. And Clay Guida, we've seen Scott Holtzman lose to Nick Lentz probably like 2-3 years ago, where Nick Lentz was probably able to take him down pretty regularly throughout the rounds, and even tired able to take him down. So this guy ain't no super shutdown wrestler. Like, I don't know where y'all getting that in your head to believe that. He's not. He has good wrestling defense. He does have that size. He is the better striker. He has okay wrestling defense, but he ain't no great wrestling defense. I feel like Guida, you can have good, okay wrestling defense, but Clay Guida will go for 20 takedowns. He has a cardio to do that, and he has skills to do that. And I have Clay Guida probably similar to Nick Lentz, probably a very close fight, but Clay Guida been able to get those takedowns eventually, no matter how much he had to work for them. It's not like Scott Holtzman is also this amazing finisher either. So I feel like Clay Guida can stick in this fight, grind in this fight, get those takedowns in this fight. And also, Scott Holtzman is talking about retirement. So there's a lot of things factoring in Scott Holtzman. And even initially, I don't see him as this great pick, especially as the favorite. So Clay Guida is a very good dog in this one, I feel. And I feel like he should be the prevail. And again, 22 losses, but never lost to a guy like Scott Holtzman, who's just going to be sprawling brawler. He has never lost to that, ever. You can say, oh, Bobby Green, but Bobby Green is originally a wrestler. He has better scramble ability than Scott Holtzman, and we'll pick Scott Holtzman apart. Different night and day. And even that fight was close. So, yeah. In this one, I got Clay Guida via decision. It sounds like I'm spinning the diss track over here. I'm a DJ over here, but I'm trying to slow it down. I'm coming with a lot of fire, but I got to be more listenable. I got so you guys can coherent or whatever case y'all want to say, so y'all can hear me more. So y'all can like, can you slow it down? Can you do this? But anyway, on to the next one. We go on to the women's strawweight division. Angela Hill versus Emily Ducote. And I gotta go Emily Ducote here. I feel like this is a very, very close fight. But Hill is pushing 40. I don't like that factor. Ducote is looking the best. She's looking at her career and she's coming into her own. I feel like it's gonna be a very, very close fight. I wish Ducote would show more wrinkles to her game, but she just more so showing striking. And even her last fight, I feel like she should have been able to put away Jessica Panay, but I just feel like she fought composed. But hey, that could be a good and bad thing. I think overall you would like a fighter that's composed, because more often than not, that's going to get you to win versus a fighter that's going to commit too much, and then that's going to allow mistakes, them getting taken down, them getting submitted, or them getting caught, knocked out. So you fight like, a fighter, fight that with composure, especially if they're already winning. Like you're fighting with composure and winning, but as opposed to a fighter that's fighting with so much composure, but you're losing these close, icky decisions. But you're winning. If it's not broke, don't fix it, I guess. So like, hey, that's what coaches are, whatever we probably say, like real good coaches would say. Don't chase the finish, let it materialize. If it don't come, it don't come. You already won. But if it does, that's a cherry on top. So, but still, I would have wanted her to finish Panay, and it felt like Panay really ain't got nothing to come back on her feet. And I feel like she had her takedown shut down anyway. But nonetheless, I feel like Ducote has the power. I feel like Hill overall is the more technical striker, or I'm gonna say overall, I feel like she has more tools on the feet. But that age factor, the lack of power, Ducote's momentum, and the fact that Ducote can touch with power, and probably, match her pace a bit and touch with power, and eventually, and also potentially mixing the grappling. I gotta go with Ducote to win this one in a close decision. I also think the power is gonna be a big factor. I feel like Hill gonna have the volume, but Ducote's gonna be a touch with some power, probably even drop her at one point. But Hill's gonna fight valiantly, sticking this one. But it's gonna be another close decision that Hill is not gonna be favored in. So in this one, I have Emily Ducote via decision. Now to our prelim headliner, we have in the welterweight division, Nico Price versus me, Philip Rowe. It's like, let me stop joking. I made that joke before, but I'm making it again. But anyway, Nico Price versus Philip Rowe. How we see this one right here is I'm gonna go Nico Price. I just feel like Philip Rowe has not fought this level of talent yet. And people will say, oh, Nico Price this, Nico Price that. But look at all the people Nico Price has been fighting. He has been fighting killers. And it's not like he's been going out there and getting murked by these killers. Like, even let's look Vicente Luque. I know a lot of people gonna start dogging Vicente Luque now because he lost 2 fights and he lost to Bilal Muhammad. Now, I don't know. People went from liking Vicente Luque to saying, oh, he's trash now. And Bilal Muhammad, a lot of people been doubting him for years. Now they saying, oh, Bilal Muhammad is this and this. He better than everybody. Like, oh, like, all right, better than everybody. That's not Kobe Covington and Kamzats and, the premier people. Like, he shifted from, like, people not writing him off to, like, they flipped the coin. Like, it's crazy. But that's MMA. That's fans. They so fickle. But nonetheless, he went hard with Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque, very, very close fight. Vicente Luque most likely was going to win regardless, but it was a very close fight. Vicente Luque was taking damage. He was getting his face busted up. It was a competitive fight. And then he got stopped in the third round. And then Alex Oliveira, very close fight. But Oliveira is still at this point better than everyone Philip Rowe has fought by far, and would have probably stopped everyone Philip Rowe has stopped, and probably less competitive and without having to give up round against people he has fought. But nonetheless, I just feel like Nico Price, he's probably close to the end of his line in a sense, like age-wise, and, he kind of settling in where he's at. But still, even where he's settling in at, he still, I feel, should have enough to beat Philip Rowe. I feel like Philip Rowe does have questionable takedown offense, and most guys he have beat have faded. But I feel like Nico Price can, he has shown the ability to fight good for 3 rounds. It's not like he's just guys that have, wrestlers with chin issues, like these short, stocky wrestlers with chin issues that they could kind of control you for a round. You start to get some distance on them, they tired and they got no response. Nico Price ain't the most technical striker, but he, like I said, he has held his own with some real high-level strikers. He has taken a lot of damage. Not like he just been, well, Vicente Luque one, he got stopped with like little bit of work. Like, it wasn't a whole lot. But in the second fight, it was a lot of accumulation. But nonetheless, I don't see Philip Rose as big puncher. I don't see him this great technician or nowhere. He has good well-rounded skill set, to keep him in the fight. And if you fade off, he can take advantage of that. But he has not shown the ability where he can hold his own at a high level without his opponent dipping off. And I feel like Nico Price can maintain a pace. I feel like Nico Price can put some power on him. And I feel like he consistently put pressure and power on him. I don't think he puts Phil Rowe away, but I feel like he can mix and takedowns, control Phil Rowe, touch him with power, and kind of freeze Phil Rowe up. Still see this as a competitive fight. I feel like Phil Rowe probably will start rallying more so in the second and third, or at least giving some real good fight back in those rounds. But I still feel like Nico Price should be able to get the takedown when needed or necessary to make the fight close, and still should be able to touch him with power more consistently than that. But still see this as a very close fight nonetheless. And I think Nico Price gets his hand raised in a very close fight. So in this one, I got Nico Price via decision. Now to our main card. So in our first fight in the main card, we have in the middleweight division, Eryk Anders versus Kyle Daukaus. And the high season right here between Anders versus Daukaus is, I got to go with Daukaus here. I feel like Anders is, again, pushing 40. I think I've been saying a whole lot in this card. Pushing 40, showing no improvement. I got to go with Kyle Daukaus. And I feel like Kyle Daukaus, he has had a couple losses in the UFC, but like, Brendan Allen's a very bright prospect, contender, or whatever you want to call him. Brendan Allen is. Then he lost to Roman Dolidze, who's now proven himself to be an actual real threat in this division. So he ain't like he's been losing to just anybody. And Eryk Anders is good, or was good, or whatnot. But when you start become so predictable, you got to go fading him. I feel like Daukaus is younger, fresher, and if Eryk Anders is gonna go out there looking to load up on shots and barely cut opponents off and just look to be stiff and square and just trying to touch people with power and maybe make some takedowns. And that's like Daukaus is going to be able to outvalue him, outwork him, just be the younger fighter out there and beat Eryk Anders. Eryk Anders is tough, so I don't see Daukaus submitting him or knocking him out. But I definitely see Daukaus coming in and showing actual improvement in this fight. Even without the improvements, I could see this has been a tight matchup that I would lean Daukaus, but also been the fact that he is the younger fighter and he is still making improvements. And Phil is learning himself as a fighter and still making adjustments. I feel like he'll come in this fight and make big improvements. And again, he might put Eryk Anders out, but I'm respecting Anders' toughness and respecting his experience that he'll make it to a decision. But I feel like Daukaus will come in, prove boxing, prove footwork, take advantage of the fact that Anders is coming in, like literally hop off the couch almost. Same exact fighter he was, or hop from the last fight into the next fight, the same exact fighter he was the last fight. I'm not saying no improvements, no growth, no improvements, no growth. Said it twice, but yeah, I gotta like the younger fighter here. And I got Kyle Daukaus winning this one via decision, probably mixing some takedowns, probably taking advantage of some takedowns. Anders might score and reversing position or taking advantage in the scramble and getting some positions over Anders, just being a younger, fresher fighter. Probably the more, like I said, this more fluid, less stiff, younger, improving fighter and beating Anders here. So in this one, I got Kyle Daukaus via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Jack Hermansson versus Roman Dolidze. And high season one right here is I'm going to go with Dolidze. His cardio questions me, but then again, like he was just adjusted to the weight class, so I'm assuming he'll have adjusted his weight class. This is not like a super confident pick. This is kind of just like, hey, he's been showing some things I like, so I'm gonna roll with him. I'm gonna test him. I'm gonna roll with him. He's showing improvements. I don't feel like Hermansson's gonna really evolve or he's really that much of a factor in his division no more. He's kind of like reached his peak, and I'm interested to see where Dolidze's peak is, like what he can do in this division. He's talking big game, and I'm gonna see if he's talking a big game, and he's whatever the case, improving it. Like proving it. He's talking a big game, and so far he's proven. Like he stopped the last two opponents, like stopped Phil Halls, destroyed Daukaus. So he's putting the work behind the mouth. So I ain't saying he this proven contender just yet, but at least for the most part, as far as backing up his mouth, he's been doing it. So I'm gonna stick behind. And also, it's like he's a solid grappler. He's the physically stronger man against Jack Hermansson. It's not like Jack Hermansson is the greatest striker in the world or the most durable guy. So you can match him in the grappling, or at least neutralize his grappling and put some power on him, or pose your will on him a bit. You definitely got opportunities against Hermansson. I feel like Dolidze can do that. My question: can he do it for 3 rounds, or can he put him away? And I'm gonna say decision. Matter of fact, he probably will finish him, but I'm gonna stick with my decision over here. Decision victory. Like it is what it is. I'm not picking no. Matter of fact, depending on the odds on this one, I might pick a prop on this one. I might look at those odds on those props, but this straightforward. I'm gonna say decision right here. Roman Dolidze. feel like the third round is gonna be Hermansson gonna kind of rally in the third round, but it's been a 3-round fight. Hermansson's not gonna be able to fully rally in this one, but I feel like the first 2 rounds, Dolidze should be the bigger physical man, should be the match him or surpass him in the grappling. Hermansson had the more technical striking, but I feel like Dolidze's power is gonna overlap Hermansson's technical advantage in this one. So his physicality, his strength, his pressure, his power, gonna overcome maybe the more technical aspects of Hermansson. So he'll be kind of physically bullying Hermansson around in a lot of areas on the feet, in the grappling, in the clinch for the first 2 rounds, or at least the first round and a half. Then Hermansson gonna turn on, but he's gonna be down 2 rounds, and I don't think he'll be able to do enough in the third round to get it done. And even on top, Dolidze is even on top for Hermansson won't have that usual size advantage he has on other guys when they're beneath him. And also, Dolidze is a high-level grappler, so he'll have a good guard. He won't be able to just be flattened out and maul. Hermansson's top pressure game is killer against, middleweights around the average or lower than average side. But you're going with a guy that was a pretty sizable light heavyweight. I think he's going to be comfortable on the ground against Hermansson. Not super comfortable, but definitely comfortable enough to, regain guard and not allow Hermansson to just be this physical force that's on top of you, that's mauling you. I feel like he should be comfortable there to maybe pull guard, work for some submissions, grab, wrist control, just like locking Hermansson down, while Dolidze is fatigued and just trying to make it to the bell. So in this one, I got Roman Dolidze via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the heavyweight division, Tuivasa versus Sergey Pavlovich. And how I see this one right here, I'm going to go Sergey Pavlovich. I'm going to say first round TKO, which is very bold for Sergey Pavlovich. I already said it in the quick pick, but Tuivasa is coming off a very brutal loss to Cyril Gane, where he took a lot of damage. And he's coming back too soon, I feel. And I feel like Sergey Pavlovich is going to take advantage of that. Whether he gets it done on the ground or on the feet, I feel like he's going to be able to pressure Tuivasa. And Tuivasa has not had enough time to recover. And even without this, I feel like the finish will materialize later in the fight, but given the fact that Tuivasa has taken a lot of damage and is returning so soon. He took damage almost equivalent to what, maybe worse, maybe a little bit less than what Kevin Gastelum took against Israel Adesanya in the fight, and he has not recovered since. And Tuivasa's bouncing back real soon, getting rocked, getting dropped several times, and ultimately TKO'd and knocked unconscious in this fight against Cyril Gane. So it's a very quick turnaround after taking a lot of damage. I know he got that Kiwi or whatever you can call him, or Samoan or whatever in him, and it's tough and durable, but it's still too quick to bounce back. And I feel like Sergey Pavlovich is going to take advantage of that. Stick to his current trend of getting people out of the first round. So probably going to look to pressure Tuivasa early, probably have him hurt. Tuivasa probably respond well, probably gain Pavlovich's respect. The Pavlovich probably going to look to level change, go back to his bread and butter, wrestling, drag him to the ground, and then start to maul him on the ground. So probably be the case, touch him early, have Tuivasa on stilts, but Tuivasa, being a tough gamer that he is, still rock, going to come back with good exchanges. Game, like I said, maybe catch Pavlovich a little bit. Pavlovich can, like I said, yeah, I ain't playing this with him. And go level change, scoop him to the ground, and just ball him on the ground and get that first round TKO. So in this one, I got Sergey Pavlovich via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the flyweight division, Matheus Nicolau versus Matt Schnell. And how I see this one right here is I'm going Matheus Nicolau to beat Matt Schnell. And I'm pretty confident in this one. I feel like Matt Schnell don't really have him in any area. You can say, oh, he's this, he's that, but I haven't really seen a fight where Matt Schnell really fought a clean performance throughout. I mean, the Tyson Nam fight, but Tyson Nam is like a 500 fighter and old. And then, and even his last fight, he was getting picked apart, and he only survived and was able to finish because, he survived due to toughness, but he was able to get the finish because his opponent had questionable grappling. Whereas in this fight, Matheus Nicolau, I felt, can beat or surpass him in any area. I feel like, I'm saying like Nicolau in the distance. I feel like second round TKO from Matheus Nicolau. I feel like he can match or surpass him anywhere in the striking. He can match or surpass. He's surpassed him in the striking, surpassed him in the grappling, and just in overall wrestling everywhere. I felt he has Matt Schnell covered. So it's not a case where Matt Schnell has any area where he can just like prevail in and hope to make a strategic game plan for. So I see Matheus Nicolau just putting the pressure on him early, tagging Schnell, rocking Schnell being game and trying to get behind the jab, trying to get back to his fundamentals, but Matheus Nicolau just never allowing him to be comfortable. And then when Matt Schnell gets any bit of groove, I see Nicolau mixing up, throwing him on the ground and just shutting down his submissions, just controlling him, wearing on him, dropping elbows, dropping punches on him, and just wearing on Schnell over the course of the fight. And to see Schnell just constantly on the back foot, not really able to find a groove in the fight. Eventually, Matheus Nicolau just wears him down and puts him away, like, I'm going to say third round. So In this one, I have Matheus Nicolau via third round TKO. Now to our co-main event, we have in the welterweight division, Rafael dos Anjos versus Brian Barberena. And I see this one right here, I'm going Rafael dos Anjos, but I'm saying right here, I ain't betting no money on this fight at all. I ain't betting no decision. I ain't betting no Barberena just cause. I ain't betting no dos Anjos at what, I'm not plus, like minus 600, which is crazy. The man is pushing 40. I know Brian Barberena stylistically kind of falls into his thing, but this should be minus 200, as I said in the quick pick. And then I was like, oh, RDA, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. I really would have wanted RDA to be a dog in this fight, given his age, but they're like, oh, that's a great pick. But RDA is that big of a favorite at that age is just ludicrous. And it's probably gonna be one of those cases like, how did y'all not see it? The man's pushing 40. The odds is handing you stuff, like handing you out, like, hey, you want some money? Don't on Barberena. People going crazy right now for RDA. Like somebody got some insider trade. Like RDA probably got some heart virus or something, and people just juicing like some people are convincing somebody to juice this lineup like it should not even be juiced up. And then whereas the people that's already in on, they gonna put Barberena, probably gonna put him in the disc. Like, already got a heart virus, his chin declining, and Barberena got some drugs in him or something. Like, cause this is crazy. Like, it don't make no sense why the odds are what they are. I can see why RDA should win, but he should not ever be that heavier favorite in this fight at this given point in his career. But yeah, I'm going RDA. I feel like he's, he could beat Barberena every area, but again, pushing 40. And like I said, he could beat him everywhere, can out technique him, out experience him, out everything. Probably blast some kicks to the body, blast some kicks to the leg. Had Barberena just trying to stalk him and just walking the shots and walking into kicks. And then when Barberena starts to get over aggressive, level change and take him down, Barberena has questionable wrestling defense. And RDA has the wrestling to take him down, has the BJJ to control him, has experience to control him. And that's probably going to be the case of this fight is blast some kicks to the body, inside leg kicks, mixing his own shots in there, and then taking Barberena down when he gets over aggressive and just like schooling him to a decision. But again, those odds are crazy. But nonetheless, in this one, I have Rafael dos Anjos via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the welterweight division, Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland. How I see this one right here between Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland is, I got to go Kevin Holland. Again, I probably said this like the 7th time on this video. Stephen Thompson is pushing 40, or this fighter A is pushing 40, and fighter B is in their prime, looking to feed on this old veteran. So I think only 40-year-old, pushing 40-year-old I didn't fade is RDA. I'm picking RDA, but every other 40-year-old, I'm like, yeah, you getting cooked. But yeah, I got to go Kevin Holland here. I know Stephen Thompson, this is a more favorable matchup than the lay and pray wrestlers type, but I feel like Kevin Holland is young and fresh, and this is 5 rounds, and he has plenty of time to catch Stephen Thompson now. And when I think Stephen Thompson gets caught, he's not going to recover as well. Like, I know in the past he's been able to recover well after getting caught and dropped in these fights, but I feel like that's not going to be the case. I feel like Kevin Holland will come with a good game plan for him. Be to set up counters, be to sticking with the jab a lot, use that length, use that reach. They're both long. And then be a touch with some power and be to wear on the older veteran over time. And maybe even like just look to tap Stephen Thompson when he looks to blitz. And, just give him a different look. Just wear on the older guy. Matter of fact, he might stop with knees to the body. It's a lot of different angles. I'm ultimately picking like a 3rd round submission for Kevin Holland in this one. But I just feel like the young guy has more tools, more durability, more youth. And I feel like Holland should be I feel like Stephen Thompson is the better striker for sure, even at this age, and probably will be having success. But I feel like Holland, once he does have success, his success will have more impact. Like when he hurts Stephen Thompson not going to be as quick to recover. It's going to take him longer. Matter of fact, he might not recover. You're pushing 40. That damage is going to sit on you like a stain on a white carpet. It's going to sit on you like a stain, like a wine stain on a white carpet. Like it's going to stick on you. Whereas Kevin Holland, like that stuff going to get bleached right out and look clean. For the most part, it's going to clean up better. So it's going to be a touching with damage. And then when it's touching with power, when he does land, it's going to land with more effect. It's going to be more lingering than Thompson's damage. And then it's going to eventually be to start stalking Thompson down as the damage wears on him. And then early on, when Stephen Thompson is blitzed, I feel like Holland going to look to duck under, probably clinch him up, land knees to the body. He has underrated clinch game. Look for work for takedowns. And really just look to wear him everywhere. Like touch him with power, intercept his blitz, bully him in the clinch. Then his fight started wearing on. He starts to just step on his toes, knee him in the shin. Just knee him in the thigh. Just like annoying the man. That's putting damage on, putting malice on the man. That's already got malice on him at 40 or pushing 40. Then eventually start to craftily work his way to the takedown and wears Thompson down. Then probably gets start to hurt him, snap him down a little bit, Thompson tries to explode back up, but then Holland gets hold of that neck, probably wrenches on that neck, drags him down, and like hits him with a Darce choke, third round. So in this one, I got Kevin Holland via third round submission. And so that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Thompson versus Holland. And as always, thanks for watching.